What the what? Oh, it's a sick. Oh my god.
Okay, now that that's out of our system, we can actually kind of talk about what we saw in the special edition trailer. Particularly, I want to talk about Vergil and what we can expect out of that pack, because not all of us are going to be able to play the Turbo mode and the Legendary Dark Knight mode, but Vergil will be available no matter what you're playing on. And, I mean, let's be honest, that's one of the things that has the most elements to it to speculate about. With Dark Knight mode and Turbo mode, we pretty much know what to expect. First, let's talk a little bit about story, like what we can expect from Vergil's campaign. Historically speaking, Vergil really just kind of has, at most, one intro scene at the beginning of the campaign, and then the rest of the game just plays like normal. Like, the game is not aware of the fact that you're playing a new character, as far as like the cutscenes and the story is concerned. I know some people spotted a couple of new stuff in the special edition trailer, and I saw it too, but I have reason to believe that the two new story clips that are in there are actually the same scene. So there's a scene with Dante and Vergil fighting near each other. That scene is not in the base Devil May Cry 5 package, which is, you know, that's what everybody's kind of like, so we'll get new story scenes, right? But there's also a moment where you see Vergil doing like a bullet storm kind of thing. What's actually happening is he's throwing his sword, and the sword is swinging around and impaling and cutting the enemies around him in the air. And if you look at that, the sword flying around, and then you look at the first couple of frames of the Dante and Vergil bit, Vergil is catching his sword out of the air. So my hypothesis is that we are once again gonna get one new cutscene to kind of set things up, sort of, and that's probably gonna be it. There won't be a whole lot else. However, that being said though, Devil May Cry 5 on its own exceeded all of our expectations so drastically, myself included. I had really high expectations, so I can't help but kind of wonder if they're going to do so again. After all, Vergil's files were found in the game way before today, so is it reasonable to possibly theorize that maybe they've been working on him since then? Who knows? There's also the disappointment we all kind of universally feel together about the lack of a Ladies' Night DLC. And I had a moment where I thought, you know, maybe during Vergil's campaign, they'll switch control over to Lady and Trish for a bit. Because after all, in the base story, you switch between controlling Nero, V, or Dante, depending on which perspective the narrative wants you to view the story from. So I was wondering if maybe they would take a similar angle, and I don't think that's outside of the realm of possibilities, but to kind of to play devil's advocate and beat down my own theory, I don't think that the story or the campaign for Vergil will shift to the ladies, just because, even for a mission or two, because they don't have a whole lot to do with each other. Their only real interaction is when Vergil is not Vergil, he's Urizen. And he's taking them and making them into his little cronies, his little monster biddies. Now, as far as his gameplay goes, I mean, it looked super sick because, you know, next gen and compared to DMC4. But speaking of DMC4, all of the moves that they showed in the special edition trailer are actually already in the Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition. I was able, after watching the trailer for, you know, a couple thousand times. Seriously, about 10,000 of those are me. And the rest are Wooly and the Sphere Hunter. I booted up DMC4 Special Edition with Vergil and was able to duplicate even the combos that are pulled off in the trailer. They look slick because it's a prettier game than DMC4, but they didn't really show him doing anything that new or any new mechanics. That said, Tokyo Game Show is this week, and it's entirely possible that they'll dish out more then. To which, you know, we'll just have to update at that point. The one big one that we all collectively had our minds blown on was the reveal of Vergil's Sin Devil trigger, the summoning V and literally the storm that is approaching. And I'm pretty confident that that is his Sin Devil trigger. I don't know how else to interpret that. Dante's is activated by stabbing himself. Vergil stabs himself in the trailer and summons V. I think that's a pretty safe assumption. What is maybe less of a safe assumption is I'm going to go ahead and bet there's one tiny little thing when they show the Bloody Palace footage playing as Vergil. The combo, like I said, you can do that in just the regular Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition, but the difference is that in this new footage, you see Vergil has his little Yamato stand pop out and dish out some extra damage, but he's not in Devil Trigger at the moment. Now, if you recall, spoilers, at the end of Devil May Cry 5, Nero gains he gets his arm back and he gains the ability to use the Exceed mechanic but it's not with his sword, it's with his Devil Bringer. And I'm curious if maybe Vergil will have a similar mechanic, if he'll actually have an Exceed mechanic that instead of just throwing out a little demon punch, it will actually have Yamato come out and do an entirely, an additional hit. And I'm even willing to add the caveat of maybe your concentration meter has to be at a certain amount, because they did announce that the concentration meter is back. So maybe that has to be at a certain amount before you can do this, but I would be willing to bet dollars to pesos that Vergil will have some kind of Exceed mechanic or Exceed-like mechanic in Special Edition. Outside of that, though, that's pretty much all we can theorize on. Again, Tokyo Game Show is later this week, so hopefully they'll show us something there. And if there is, I'll be the first or second to cover it. I'll cover it as soon as I can, because I'm beyond thrilled to be able to finally play Vergil in DMC5 after 12 years or so. To finally be able to play a real Vergil, not phony Vergil. So anyway, thanks for give me your theories. Tell me what you think is going to be likely in terms of story or the combat mechanics for Vergil, and because I'd like to hear some outside theories too. There's a lot of things that I never consider. You guys are really creative, so I'd like to hear what you guys think. Or hit me up on Twitter. Either way, I don't care. I'm gonna go piss in my mouth now. Bye.